So there's a lot of reasons why people don't go to the Bible, and there's a lot of reasons why people go to the Bible. A lot of people won't go to the Bible because they think that they have a long life and things like that, but people in the hospital on their deathbed, they'll turn to God then and there because they realize that, hey, my life is really short, and if I continue to gamble in this direction, it might be really bad. So there's a quote out there that says that some people don't go to the doctor because they are scared of what the result might be. Do you think we live in a place and in a culture that's scared to face a God?
That's a difficult question because, one, to relate to the doctor thing, just like 2 days ago, I had a knee injury and I was scared to go to the doctor for that very reason because they're going to tell me something bad, right? And I think a lot of people have that like perception of God or that fear of God because maybe they're not really understanding. Some people go through things in life that they think and they get down on themselves upon and make them feel like a bad person. But I don't think God, when you come to God, you think that you would be judged. I don't think God is going to judge you. He's there to guide you in the first place. And I think people have that fear and that saying, oh, maybe God lies or God is this or God is that because they don't know. They're too scared of like accepting that reality and letting go of what is hurting in them for them to like actually open up, if that makes sense. If that makes any sense. Yeah.
So if God is forever, not just for a moment, how important is it to really consider him whether we're young or old? How important is it to really start thinking about him being a part of our life?
I think it's a matter of who you are as a person, where life takes you, and how you find God and how you perceive God. No matter what religion are you, and of course you don't want to come close to God when you're close at the end and then you regret things, but you should always know, young, old, middle-aged, even a kid, just have that general understanding that no matter in life, there's a greater power, a greater purposes that is watching over you and that is guiding you in a direction. And you got to be open to listen.
Because I think belief can be dangerous. For example, if I don't believe that gravity doesn't exist, guess what? When I jump off of that building, it's going to happen whether I believe it or not. And to play Russian roulette with whether I believe gravity exists or not,
that's ridiculous because you have all these religions. You can say Russian roulette with any religion. I mean, you are playing Russian roulette if you're going to choose the Christian God. You're going to play it no matter what you do.
Yeah, no matter
and that's
what
why
God
it would be
choose.
ridiculous for him to punish you for doing wrong things in life. You know, it doesn't make any sense.
Like I think sometimes we get focused on the punishment, but I don't think that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that. I'm not talking about a punishing God.
Why you say
I'm talking about a loving God, that he loves us so
why
much.
Would you play Russian roulette if he loves you?
No, he doesn't play Russian roulette. He's very intentional about us. He's very intentional about why he created.
Metaphor, there's no punishment.
Because I think we play Russian roulette, and so that's what I'm saying. So no offense. The danger is if I gamble with my life and my belief system with him. Like if I ignore him and he is true, I brought those consequences on me.
What are the consequences?
He didn't bring.
That sounds like a punishment.
So the punishment so we were born with a purpose and on purpose, and our sin, it makes us far from God. And our sin, and people don't like to talk about sin because sometimes we're in sin, and that's why we don't like to address it. So we get angry about it. But God doesn't want us to be angry about it. He wants us to understand it, and he wants to change us from the inside out. And that's the loving God that I came to talk about. Mm-hmm. And so that's him. So I just like you guys to consider the conversation, think about it, and because I wish before I went to prison when I was young that someone had the more courage to tell me in a loving way,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I love it. Yeah.
There's a great conversation.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate it. Check us out. Here you guys go. Oh, you got one? Okay, here you go. And I like your openness. So I think I'm going to twingle down to this. There's a celebrity by the name of Denzel Washington.
Okay.
And he wrote something. Do you guys know who Denzel Washington is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought this was pretty cool. He wrote this. If you died tonight, your employer would advertise to fill your job role by the end of the month. but your loved ones, chosen family, and friends would miss you forever. Don't get too busy making a living that you forget to work on making a life. And I think that's the gospel message in a way to us, that we can't get too busy for God, that we forget the big picture. I think we live in a society where we're too busy on our issues, we're too busy on making a living, that we forget to make a life with God. Because if He's created us, at the end of the day, His purpose is far greater than the purpose of society. And I think we live under the guidelines of society more than we live under the care and loving guidelines of God. And I think it's very dangerous to ignore God in our society. And I think that's what the founding framers were thinking when they had endorsed God in their documents. Is like, hey, don't forget about God, because He's the one that has brought providence to us. He's the one that has brought direction to us. And the moment we forget about God is the moment our nation goes under. What do you think?
I would agree with that. I agree with it in a certain perspective, as just reflecting on everything that's going on today in the world, and recently there's a lot of division out there. And I think God's message and God's what He's trying to communicate to us is that we're better together. Unity is better. And if we all follow that guideline, it doesn't matter what religion you follow, what God you worship, but they teach you in those religions that you respect your brothers and sisters, that you love your brothers and sisters. And we don't have a lot of that in our world today. It seems like we have lost that sort of respect. We've lost that way of communication. We've lost that openness with each other, and then that relationship with God. And I'm fearful for it a little bit, because as we strange away, I think that's why we see society a little bit going down right now, and who knows what the future can hold. But
they say that the prayer is our language to God, but the Bible is His language to us. And a lot of times we're destroyed for our lack of knowledge. And I think the more we digress away from actually talking about the hard things, actually looking into the hard things, the more danger we put ourselves in. And so Jesus says He's the way, the truth, and the life, and without Him, heaven just doesn't happen. So we're Christians. We believe in the God of the Bible. We believe that the claims of Jesus are true, and for the very reasons that He addresses everything in the Bible, and then the convictions that follow, and then the experience of walking with Him. And so we just want to share that with you guys today.
Well, thank you very much. Me personally, I'm not a Christian. I am a Native American, and I'm Cherokee, and we practice a religion that's slowly connected to those traditional values. So my views on Jesus is very different than I would say a lot of people, but I treat what He was teaching in His lessons as something that still can guide me. It can guide anybody. It's something that is here to stay. It's a message that we're here to open and learn from.
I have I'm sure I have some Native American in me from what my family tells me. I love the culture, but if I had a decision to choose from following tradition or choosing following something that's not tradition necessarily, because tradition is a practice. Mm-hmm. Following a theology or following a principle is a way of life. And so I think our belief system could be very dangerous. Like, for example, if I don't believe in gravity, but I jump off of a building, guess what? I'm going to go splat. Yeah. And so I think what we put our trust in is so important. And that's the gospel message, is that Jesus is saying, be careful what you put your trust in. He's the way, truth, and life. And He also talks about don't forsake, Him over traditional matters. Mm-hmm. And, it's one of those things to really think about. And, yeah, just want to share that perspective with you. And I would hope you would look into it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, if God is real, and we are on borrowed time, and we can be here today and then gone tomorrow, would you consider thinking about Him a little bit more?
I'm not sure. I feel like you kind of give you're kind of brought into this world and you have to like trust whatever is like brought you here, and I don't know, you kind of just have to live every day like it's your last, I guess. I don't really know how to answer that, honestly.
No, that's fine. Well, they said that prayer. I was once told that prayer is a communication between us and God, and that the Bible is Him communicating to us. And that, so when we think about it, is like, do I want to gamble with thinking there's a God, or do I want to actually know that there is a God? Do I want to gamble thinking that I have a purpose in life, or do I actually want to know that I have a purpose in life? And it's like, you can't get into the water and know that it's wet until you really get in there and really feel the experience of that. So we're on campus and we're just encouraging people to think about God. And if God is real, how important should He be in your everyday life? And so that's kind of just all we're doing.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. It gets people thinking, something that they wouldn't really normally think about.
Somebody wanted you to think about your education at one point, right?
Yeah.
Because somebody thought that your education would be important, and they thought that your education would take you somewhere in life, and they thought that your education would make you successful. Well, God would want you to get to know Him because He thinks that your life is of importance, and that He wants you to go somewhere, and somewhere greater than what this world has to offer, because on our borrowed time, we're here one day and then we're gone the next. And during COVID, the whole world saw that. Yeah, so I just want to encourage you, think about God a little bit, and thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. The only thing I would say, I respect what you're saying, but I would also say that God and Jesus and any religion, no matter what, or just in a general point, a God would want you to have that freedom of choice, even if it takes you in that dark path. He is setting the warnings for you, but it's at the end of the day, it's our life to live and it's our life to go through. He's there for guidance. He can't control you in that sense. But I don't think following a traditional way or a way of your people or anything like that and or going towards a new thing doesn't mean necessarily that if you're not following a God or a certain religion, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going in the wrong direction. So I would say that.
Well, I believe God loves you, and I believe God loves you, and I believe that He's made both of you guys with intention. I believe that He cares about your life, and He cares that you get everything right about that part of life, because to gamble with that is very dangerous. But nonetheless, He loves you guys. He's created you guys, and I just encourage you guys to consider Him. All right.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, no problem. Here.